Welcome to Emma's English. Welcome back to Emma's English Talk, your daily channel for mastering real-world English. I'm your host, Emma. Today, we're going to watch and listen to a conversation about the relatable frustrations, minor injuries, and weird psychology of assembling DIY flat-pack furniture at home. First, just sit back, relax, and try to catch as much as you can. Don't worry if you miss a few words. We will break down the key vocabulary in our word tour later in the video. Ready? Let's dive into the dialogue. I still have a blister on my thumb from tightening those tiny screws with that little metal tool they give you in the box.
You mean the Allen wrench. I am convinced those things were designed specifically to test the limits of human patience.
It really feels that way. I spent 4 entire hours yesterday putting together what looked like a very simple bookshelf, and I somehow ended up with 3 extra wooden pegs at the end.
That is the worst feeling. You just stare at the leftover pieces and wonder if the whole thing is going to collapse the second you put a heavy book on it.
I actually shook the bookshelf just to see how sturdy it was. It wobbled a tiny bit, but I decided to pretend everything was perfectly fine.
I usually assume those extra pieces are just spare parts the manufacturer generously included, even though deep down, I know I probably skipped a step.
Speaking of steps, trying to decipher the instruction manual is half the battle. There are never any words, just a very basic drawing of a stick figure pointing at a board.
And the drawings of the screws look exactly the same. You have to squint to figure out if you need the long screw or the slightly shorter, slightly thicker screw.
I always get them mixed up. Yesterday, I used the long ones for the top shelf, and they poked right through the finished wood on the other side.
Oh no, that completely ruins the aesthetic. Did you try to cover it up with something?
I just put a large potted plant directly over the crack. Out of sight, out of mind, right?
That is a classic fix. My biggest issue is when you build a chair or a table, and you get to the very end, and one leg is somehow shorter than the other 3.
The dreaded wobbly table. Then you have to fold up a piece of cardboard or a napkin and wedge it under the short leg just to make it usable.
It completely defeats the purpose of buying new furniture if you have to prop it up with yesterday's newspaper.
But there is a strange appeal to buying flat-pack furniture. It is usually much cheaper, and getting it into your apartment is a lot easier than moving a solid oak dresser.
That is very true. I live on the 3rd floor of an apartment building with no elevator. I would never be able to get a fully assembled sofa up those narrow stairs.
The flat boxes are heavy, but they are manageable. Plus, there is actually a psychological term for why we like doing this to ourselves.
Really? There is a scientific reason why we enjoy spending our weekends arguing with pieces of particle board.
Yes, it is called the IKEA effect. It means that people tend to place a disproportionately high value on products they partially created themselves.
That actually makes perfect sense. Whenever I manage to build something without it falling apart, I feel incredibly proud of it, even if it is just a basic shoe rack.
Exactly! Because you put your own sweat and frustration into building it, you feel a sense of ownership and attachment that you would not get from buying it pre-assembled.
So the blood, sweat, and blisters actually make us love the furniture more.
That is the theory. But I have to admit, halfway through the process, when I am sitting on the floor surrounded by cardboard and styrofoam, I seriously question my life choices.
I think everyone reaches that breaking point. For me, it is usually when I realize I attached a major piece backward and have to unscrew everything to fix it.
I did that with a drawer last year. I put the track on the wrong side, so when I pushed the drawer in, it got completely stuck halfway.
Did you manage to fix it, or did you just leave it sticking out forever?
I tried to pull it out by force and ended up breaking the front panel off entirely. I had to use wood glue to put it back together.
Trial and error at its finest. I honestly think they should teach furniture assembly in schools. It builds character and problem-solving skills.
It definitely tests your ability to stay calm under pressure. I refuse to assemble furniture with anyone else in the room because it always leads to an argument.
It is true. If you want to test a relationship, try building a massive wardrobe with 2 doors and 4 drawers together.
One person is always holding the heavy wooden side panel, while the other person desperately searches for the missing screw that rolled under the couch.
And then you start blaming each other for losing the pieces or misreading the confusing diagrams.
I have definitely blamed the manufacturer before. I was completely convinced they forgot to pack the hinges for a cabinet, only to find them taped to the bottom of the box 3 days later.
I always keep a small bowl on the floor now. The minute I open the plastic bags, I dump all the screws, washers, and bolts into the bowl so they cannot escape.
That is a very smart strategy. I usually just leave them in the little plastic compartments and inevitably step on one with my bare foot.
Stepping on a loose screw is worse than stepping on a child's toy block. It is a very specific type of pain.
It really is. Despite all the hassle, I am actually planning to buy a new desk next week, and it comes in 3 separate flat boxes.
You are a brave person. Are you going to attempt to build it all in one day, or spread the misery out over the weekend?
I am going to try and get it done in one afternoon. I am buying myself a proper set of tools, though. I refuse to rely on the tiny wrench they provide.
A real screwdriver with a good grip makes a massive difference. You will save yourself a lot of time and probably save your hands from getting any more blisters.
I will let you know how it goes. If I show up next week with Band-Aids all over my fingers, you will know the desk won the battle.
I am crossing my fingers for you. Just remember, if you have leftover pieces at the end, just hide them in a drawer and pretend they never existed.
That is exactly my plan. Ignorance is bliss when it comes to spare hardware. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's word tour. Let's take a closer look at 6 useful words and idioms from my chat with Tom about the struggles of building furniture. The first word is an Allen wrench. This is a small, L-shaped metal tool used to turn screws that have a 6-sided hole in the top. If you have ever bought flat-pack furniture, you definitely know what an Allen wrench is, even if you did not know the English name for it. Next, let's talk about the word decipher. In the conversation, I said that trying to decipher the instruction manual is half the battle. To decipher means to figure out the hidden or difficult meaning of something. Because furniture manuals usually only have confusing pictures and no words, you really have to decipher them, almost like a secret code. Our third phrase is an idiom: out of sight, out of mind. I used this when I hid a mistake on my bookshelf by putting a plant over it. This idiom means that if you cannot see something, you easily forget about it. By hiding the crack with a plant, I didn't have to look at it, so I stopped worrying about it. The fourth term is trial and error. Tom mentioned this when I was talking about breaking my drawer and having to glue it back together. Trial and error is a way of solving a problem by trying different methods until you find one that actually works, and learning from the mistakes you make along the way. Our fifth phrase is spare parts. Tom said he hopes the extra wooden pegs are just spare parts. Spare parts are extra pieces included by the manufacturer just in case you lose or break the original ones. Finally, let's look at the phrase, ignorance is bliss. I used this at the very end when talking about leftover pieces of hardware. Ignorance means a lack of knowledge, and bliss means perfect happiness. So, ignorance is bliss means that sometimes not knowing the truth makes you happier. If I don't know why I have extra pieces, I don't have to stress about it. Try using some of these words the next time you have a frustrating DIY project. Great job today! Listening to natural English like this is the best way to improve your skills. Remember, you can download the free PDF script for today's episode from the link in the description below. It's perfect for reviewing the dialogue and practicing the vocabulary we learned. If you enjoyed this lesson, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening and keep up the great work. See you next time!